Hey guys, welcome back to Honkai Star Rail. In today's video, there's a couple things I wanted to look at and also talk about. The first is going to be an updated tier list on Pridewind. Now, tier lists are completely subjective. I say this every time, and you don't have to go by a tier list. I just find them really nice formats to discuss characters and discuss topics, and that's what I'm using this video for, because the topic that I want to discuss is like the free-to-play versus the whale type situation in when we're looking at characters and the way some characters might have higher value if you don't have the units and stuff like that. I'll do my best to explain it. Asta is the perfect example, which will be the first one that I go into in a sec, but I also want to look at the Memory of Chaos team usage in the current Memory of Chaos and the teams that are used for clearing, just to like go into that topic a little bit more, because if you can see here in MOC 10, every team has either Zilla or Jing in it, I believe, except for this one here, which was mad props to this Serval user. But yeah, you can see that it's very heavily weighted towards paid players because free-to-play just aren't there yet. So let's jump into the tier list. We're going to talk about the changes. They've put some arrows on to indicate the changes on their tier list. Now, I thought Silverwolf was lower the last time I looked at it. But yeah, she's up in S+. I just think she's an amazing character. I said that in my last one. I think she's just absolutely nuts. Now, Pella went up. I believe it's because this round of Memory of Chaos has that dude that is really annoying, that summons the ads that revive, and then he gets a buff that he basically gets lifesteal when he attacks while those guys have their res. Now, something that because I'm stuck on a stage, I can beat him, but I can't beat the other one on my 4-star only account. But the funny thing with that guy is you can just strip his self-healing buff with Pella, and then you can just not really worry about the ads. So Pella's like really useful for that. Plus there's a lot of ice weaknesses and stuff like that. The others that went up were Himiko and Ching Chui, who leaves Sampo in B on his own. A bit lonely in there. I think you could just about squeeze Sampo up as well. But yeah, those two went up. Himiko seeing some use. I saw some pretty cool the Silverwolf Fire Mono teams using Asta, Himiko, and the Fire Trailblazer along with Silverwolf, and you just basically break for days. It was a really cool combo. I really liked it. Ching Chui, I see a lot of like CN and tier lists and stuff like that, and I saw one that showed like really high damage, like almost comparable to Zilla. Keep in mind you do need E4 for that to get the follow-up attacks and for her to become real busted. Hoping to get an E4 in the Luocha banner on my free-to-play account soon, so we'll have to wait and see once Luocha comes out, and I will definitely ride that bandwagon all the way home. You guys know I'm a Ching Chui fan. QQ all the way. But then the other one, honestly, after my Herder test, I was thinking about it more, and I'm like, Herder, I feel like being on her own down the bottom there is a bit harsh. The role she fills, she does it well when it's needed, but the thing I didn't realize about Herder until I tested her, and that's why I like to always I love testing things more than just theorying them. Arlen is the next one I really want to test out because he did get a massive reduction pre-launch to his numbers. I still really want to test Arlen out. So he's probably... honestly, I'm building Sampo at the moment, and then I'll probably do Arlen, but I already know Sampo's good. I love Sampo. I played him a ton in the beta. I think he's an absolute beast. But yeah, Arlen is another one I definitely want to test out more. But back to the topic of Herder. Herder is an interesting one to me because even her, I had her basic attacks doing about, 7 or 8k basic attacks because of the bonus damage she gets when they're below 50%. So with bosses that spawn ads, she absolutely claps, plus she contributes a fair bit of break. I almost think I personally like Herder a bit more, and I'd almost bump her up, but who knows, once I test out Arlen and Physical Trailblazer, maybe I'll rate them higher than her again, and then it'll be like, okay, let's put her back down. But that's just where I'm at. I'm not saying Herder's amazing. Obviously I'm talking about D to C tier, but I still think she does have some merit, kind of like Himiko is finding some merit as well. But that's basically the changes that we've seen to the tier list. The rest of it remains pretty much the same. Like I said, Silverwolf is just an absolute savage at the moment. I just, honestly, Silverwolf's like my favorite character by far, but besides QQ, we'll have to see. But that's basically a look at what's changed on their tier list. Now, I wanted to talk about a discussion I was having with some friends about the free-to-play versus the pay-to-win side of things. For instance, Asta here is a perfect example for me. So Asta is seen as like the worst support. For me on my 4-star only account, I actually prefer Asta to Ting Yun, even though I have them both. It's sort of a cycling of units you have and the pushing potential that you can do. Essentially, if you don't have the Zealers and the Jings, yes, you do have some hypercarry units. You got Qing Shui, we've seen them use Savol, you got Sushang, you got Hook Dan, you got all those type of units, but they're not quite as effective with it. And often if you don't have all those good light cones and stuff, you're losing a bunch of the potential out of those nuking type strategies. And I find for me personally, even though my account is paid, I'm only using free light cones, free Eidolons, 4 stars and the Trailblazer. So that's sort of what I'm using. And I find that Asta is so much more impactful than a Ting Yun. Just for me personally, could be my GIMP playstyle and I'm just horrible at the game. But at the moment, I'm at Memory of Chaos 9 and Asta just always feels more impactful. Obviously, she does want the fire enemies, but when there are fire enemies, that break shit she provides is so big. And with Ting Yun, especially when you don't have the second healer or a good shielder or a big chunky DPS, you find that you're very skill point starved a lot of the time on your non-healer team, and bringing Ting Yun to something like that, you maybe get one skill, then you're like out of skill points and you're just trying to basic attack, or you're using her skill on like a Serval and then Serval's got a basic attack because you're out of skills, and then you're just losing momentum. So I actually really do love Asta in that sort of situation. And that's where when you look at tier lists and you look at these type of things, just keep in mind, a lot of the people that are getting to this place where we're getting formations for stuff like this, which I'll talk about in a sec, they've got the units, they've got the light cones, you've got a lot more stuff involved. And so I think it's just about playing what you enjoy and having fun and gradually progressing. And I don't think anyone can tell you just on a list what is best for your account, because everyone's account's different with their Eidolons, with what light cones they have. Obviously relics are a huge thing. For instance, my free-to-play account, I have Japad, I have Bailu, I have Silverwolf, I have Zila, who I haven't actually built though. I have Yang Qing, I have Clara. I've got a ton of good units. I think I'm stuck on like floor 6 of Memory of Chaos because obviously it's a free-to-play account. I have Jackal relics. I don't really have any good light cones either. And we're still Trailblazer level 58, so we're still struggling. Whereas on my account that I refresh stamina with, but I'm only using 4 stars, we're at 9 because obviously we have the better relics that help us get there and we're higher leveled. But everyone's account's going to be different, but I just wanted to make that point of also on my account, I find March often better than Trailblazer Fire. March is often for me a better solo tank than the Trailblazer Fire, because if you get up against a single target fight, then March is going to be super valuable because she can put the shield on herself, get attacked, just keep that shield cycling, and then she can protect the entire team just by shielding herself. And sometimes the damage isn't enough to take out the shield, so then she can even generate points or play neutral whilst protecting the entire team. Obviously you need single target fights, but that is super effective. However, you're not going to find her too high on a tier list because people with Japards and Bailus and stuff like that will get more use out of the Trailblazer because he's more of that, he or she, whatever you chose, is more of a breaking supportive type unit, not just a defensive unit, whereas March is more of that defensive type unit. So it's a different style. But yeah, so it's situations like that is you've got to also consider like what you're looking at in a tier list compared to your account. Because like for me, if I had to choose only bringing Trailblazer Fire or only bringing March, I'd probably choose March most situations. I've also had situations in Memory of Chaos where I've done it very slowly just to clear it, but I've maintained a March shield because with Traces it goes up to 4 turns. I've maintained it on 3 characters for an entire fight to basically withstand an AoE fight, and she's been my solo tank. Yes, it was really slow, yes it wasn't efficient, but when it's all you have, it's what you can do. So there are different things, but when you look at a holistic view, if you had everything, yes, this is the kind of way you would look at it. But I just wanted to point that out. Don't disregard units that are low on a tier list just because they're low on a tier list. Definitely, I recommend testing stuff out, look at people trying out things, have a look. I always think looking at people, looking at videos, looking at streams of people testing stuff out is the best way to get a feel for yourself. But yeah, that's pretty much where the tier list is at. I just wanted to talk about that, like the free-to-play sort of perspective on it as opposed to the Giga Whale perspective, because then we jump over into the Memory of Chaos, and this was my next thing that I wanted to look at. You got some usage. This is a really cool thing on Pride. I'll leave it all linked in the description. If they've had people, how many have they had? They've had 62 players put their results in, and this is just results for the current Memory of Chaos. And like I said, if you could look at Memory of Chaos stage 10, 3-star clears, everyone's using Jing and Zilla. So obviously we're not going to see results with free-to-play units in there yet because the free-to-play players aren't there. If we go to 0-star clears, none, 1-star clear. Yeah, I mean, you're still using Zilla and Jing. 2-star clears. Someone's using Yang Qing, not too bad. So you do get a bit more diversity in these 2 stars. But as we go down to stage 9, you can see it's still much the same. Zilla, Jing, 3 stars. Ooh, nice with the servo. But yeah, and as you go down, then maybe, I don't even know if we've got like more free-to-play players entering results, but still most players are using the beefed up Zilla still. Not as many Jings down here, but I think it must be a physical week stage. But you can see the results, and that's just what I wanted to point out is that there's a lot of time left before we start seeing the more free-to-play options start getting into this content. So I definitely think other units, when we look on the tier list, this sort of A tier, including Sampo, will definitely start to see more work put in once we get a lot more broader range of players up there. I think most free-to-play players are just approaching level 60, maybe like 59, some level 60 already, depending on if you refreshed or not, if you've used all your stamina potions or not. But yeah, hopefully in the next... Honestly, I think it's probably going to be another few months because it's also a gear requirement for free-to-play. Free-to-play that are not refreshing stamina, the gear requirement's going to be quite big as well, and of also trying to get all those resources to level up when you don't have the battle pass and all those sorts of things is going to take a lot longer. So it will start to iron out, and I think we'll start to see some really cool replays and cool team usages once we get to that stage. But at the moment, it's still pretty much whale territory for especially the end stages of Memory of Chaos. I'll continue to keep you guys updated on my progress on the 4-star account. Hopefully we can get through this 9 in this one. It's just tricky without the second healer for me at the moment and no beefy DPS, but we'll see how we go. But as always, guys, I just love having a discussion about characters, the game, and stuff like that. At the end of the day, use what you like, have fun. It's a game. If you're missing a few stars in Memory of Chaos, it ain't gonna kill you as long as you're having fun. As always, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Cheers.